Hey guys, welcome back to Honkai Star Rail. In today's video, I'm going to do my best to answer a question I've been getting a lot, and that is what to do with HERTA'S store. Now, currently on both of my accounts, I have not purchased anything, and I just wanted to give you guys my reasoning. Now, I'm not saying you have to do anything. If there's something you want to get, you just go nuts. I just want to go through the store and my process so that you guys can know where I'm at. I'm not saying it's 100% the right option, but it might give you guys some food for thought on what you want to do. And firstly, on my paid account, the reason I am not getting anything from HERTA'S store yet over on that account is because I am waiting to see what I get from the 90 pity on the standard banner. I think I'm up to like 60 or 70 pulls, 20 more, and I will be able to see. Because at the end of the day, when we look at this store here, say on that account. So over on that account, I'm really loving Clara. You will get a Clara video in the future. But so this one is very tempting for me to get for my Clara. However, if I then get to my 90 pity on the standard banner and I get the Clara's actual 5-star light cone because I lose the 50-50 on getting a character, well, I won't want to get this one because then it's more optimal for me to maybe pick up the hunt one for my Zilla or the preservation one for one of my 2 tanks. So that is the first thing I'm thinking about. Over on my paid account, which is a similar situation to what most people would be in, where you're getting close to that 90 pity, I think just waiting to see what I get so that I don't double up on something that I'm not going to use is the play that I want to make. Now, over here on my free account, it's a little bit different because on this account, I'm using 4-star units only, and I'm not going to use any of the paid light cones that I pull. So any of the 4-star paid or the 5-star, when I say paid, gotcha light cones, because they're not very easily obtainable. It's all down to RNG. So I'm not going to use any of them. So what I'm sort of doing on here is I'm actually leaning into purchasing the preservation one first. Now, the reason for this is I think my personal preference is I really like the destruction one the most, then probably the hunt one, and then probably the preservation if I look at them on raw potential and what I like. However, the problem on this account is because I'm not using any of those other light cones, and if you haven't pulled any 4-star or 5-star preservation light cones, and you're doing my sort of strategy where you're leveling up both March 7th and your Fire Trailblazer, you'll be in this position where if all you've got is the free light cone that we get, this is the one that's, we can get it from the shop, being the Forgotten Hall shop and stuff like that, and you get a couple free copies along the way. Now, if you're using this one, it means if you're trying to build 2 tanks, your other tank is only using a 3-star at this stage, or you're using 2 copies of this one. So I really want, I do not want to take this one past level 50. So that's why I'm looking into the preservation one, because that would give me a second option for my second tank on this account. The only reason I haven't picked it up yet is because obviously I'm using Dan from the Hunt Path, but Su Shang is another one that I really want to use. However, I gotta wait until I do some summons on the Jing banner when that comes in about 20 days before I know if I'm gonna get her. Now, another thing to consider is, and I'm not saying there is a right or a wrong answer in this one. For me, if I pick up, so say I get to my 90 pity on the standard banner and I don't get the destruction 5-star light cone, over on that account, because I'm using Clara, I will pick this one up straight away, and then my first priority will be to max it out with this. However, on this account, I'm actually considering, just because of the way I'm doing it, and this could be the same situation for other people depending on RNG, I'm actually considering getting the preservation first and then picking up the hunt. But what I might do, like I said, I've been a bit indecisive on pulling the trigger. I'm thinking about getting this one first, so I have another light cone that I'm happy to level, and I'm not like reducing my March's stats by not leveling it, and then waiting to see if I pull a Su Shang. And if I pull a Su Shang, then I will pick up Cruising in the Stellar Sea. However, if I don't, then I will go in and start duping this one out. The reason being is because the free-to-play 4-star light cone, and also the gotcha 4-star light cone, the Su Shang one is really good as well. But in general, this one's okay. It's not horrible. So I'm happy for, if I only have Dan for the foreseeable future and I don't have a Su Shang, I'm happy for Dan just to use this one. Yes, Cruising in the Stellar Sea, the 5-star HERTA'S store one, would be a bit of a buff for him. But in general, I'm happy to go ahead and put full investment into the 5-star one first if I don't get that Su Shang, and then Dan can keep working on upgrading this one. Then once I get that Su Shang, I get Cruising in the Stellar Sea, and then I've got 2 good hunt options for my 2 hunt characters. So that's the general general flow that I'm looking at on this account is probably preservation first and then hunt if I get the Su Shang. But if I don't get the Su Shang from my pulls on the Jing banner when he comes in 20 days, then I will stick to getting the upgrades for this one. But as you can see, you do get the tokens pretty quick. I'm already up to 13 on this account. I have completed all worlds, but I have not yet done my second week's worth of these, where I will go ahead and get another one in there. So, you know, they are generating at a decent pace, which is good to see. That we can get these out quick. Now, keep in mind, you will eventually be able to get all of them. But now I just want to jump in and look at them and have a quick chat about them, because obviously, like I said, I like the destruction one probably the most, then the hunt one, then the preservation when I look at them in raw potential. But it all depends on what you have and how many characters that path you're building this early on in the game, because eventually we will get them. So let's jump into the destruction one first. This one, and we can put it up to max level because eventually we will get this one maxed. So this one, you're going to end up with a 16% attack buff that stacks up to 4 times. Really, really solid. And then after weakness breaking someone, you get 24% damage for 2 turns. Honestly, this one's really, really solid. The thing I love about this one on a Clara, for instance, is that we do get lots of attacks with the follow-up revenge attacks. So that is going to be pretty solid. But all around, I think this is a great destruction. For most destruction characters, I think this is a great option, and just all around great. The problem for free to play at the moment is, well, just in general, if you don't have Clara, your other option is basically Hook at the moment to use this on. I think Hook is a great character in general. And definitely worth it. The reason I wouldn't build Hook on this account at the moment is because free to play already have 2 good fire units in Asta and Fire Trailblazer. And for my first 8 units, I really want some diversity in my coverage of elements. So that's why I wouldn't build Hook yet. Hook for me is sort of a 9th or a 10th character that I would build on this account. So that's why I'm not building Hook. But yeah, Arlen's sort of just he's a bit too weak at the moment for me to worry about investing into a light cone for him. So really the 2 options that you're looking at in the game at the moment that are really going to excel with this are going to be Clara and also Hook. Then we go on to cruising in the Stellar Sea. Now our options for this are much better. Free to play, we've obviously got Dan, who's really, really strong in general in the game. Then you've got Zilla if you pulled for Zilla. And then we've also got Su Shang, who's another great free to play DPS if you do manage to pull her. So 3 really good options over there. Like I said, we've got a pretty okay free-to-play 4-star. Also, the Gotcha 4-star one is really, really strong, the one with Su Shang on it. But in general, this one, if you kill enemies, it's going to be cracked because you're going to get that massive attack buff. But in general, getting 16% extra crit rate is pretty solid, especially early on when gearing is pretty tough for crit rate. But then also when they're below 50%, you're going to be getting the 16% crit rate. So this is pretty solid, bringing you up to a 32. So on bosses, once you get them low, it's going to be solid. And when I look at boss fights in general, I think normally the ads are going to be what you kill early when the boss is at high health. So you're going to have less crit rate, but you're going to be generating that attack buff. Then you're going to get the boss low, and then you're going to have that extra crit rate, which maintains throughout. So I think this one's really strong in general. But like I said, there is a good, an okay free-to-play 4-star light cone for this, and then a really good 4-star light cone that you can get from the Gotcha, which has Su Shang on it. So there are plenty of options over here for the hunt, which is good because we do have a few characters that we want to use them on. Then we have over here in the preservation. Now, this one's interesting. I like this one, how it covers both bases. Now, the first thing I want to mention is that it doesn't have defense in the effect, which the preservation units we're looking at really are going to be the Fire MC, March 7th, and also the Japard if you've got him. And they all scale off of defense. So you think wanting defense here is going to be the top priority, which in general, it's really nice to have defense. However, don't forget the fact that this is a 5-star and you can upgrade it for free, meaning your base stats will get quite high just through the fact of having this one because it has high base stats in it. So you do actually get a good defense buff on this one in general from the fact that it's a 5-star and you can max it out. As we move on to the effect is actually quite nice. When we look at this maxed out, we get good resistance, which is really solid. If you don't have a shield, you can generate a shield, which is once again really solid. The main unit that I see this one taking effect on, well, it could be one March if she shielded someone else and then she gets attacked. So not too bad there. Japard, while he's working on generating his energy, because he will be getting attacked because he's got really high aggro. So his chance to be attacked is really high. So those two can make effect out of this. And then the Fire Trailblazer, if he's like taunted and he's only got his shield or her, the MC shield on them, then the first attack from an enemy will probably break that shield because it's not massive. And then the next attack they take, they will generate a shield. So that effect is actually really useful on all of the tanks in the game at the moment. Then we look at the flip side, and it's sort of covering the opposite end of it. And then when they have a shield, they're taking less damage, which once again, early on, maybe they don't have the shield, but then once they generate their shields, they have their shields and they're covered with some defense mitigation. Considering these guys, March, you can put her shield on herself, which means she'll be getting focused, so she can take the majority of the hits and soak it up. Trailblazer, you can taunt, so you can soak up a lot. And then obviously Japar just has really high, and he has a trace which increases his aggro, which means he can get attacked as well. So like I said, I think all these light cones are really solid, but my decision is going to come on what units I have and also what I pull from my 90 pity. Because if it is one of these types of light cones, if it's a preservation or a hunt or a destruction, then I will avoid that one and go for the other one first. But that's a bit of a ramble on the Herta shop because I don't think there is a right way. The one thing I would definitely recommend against is not picking up the Star Rail passes. I think these are going to be better in general for most people. But hey, some people don't care about this stuff. They're just playing to have a little bit of casual fun. You do you. But that is my thoughts around Herta's store. I don't think it's a clear-cut answer of buy this one, that's the only one you should buy. I think it's really dependent on your account and what you end up getting. And like I said, saving and not picking it up right now to wait and see what you get from the 90 biddy is not a bad idea in my opinion. But you guys, let me know what you're gonna do. Anyway guys, thanks for watching. Hope you have an awesome day and I look forward to seeing the next one. Cheers.